Hi, welcome to Peachtree World News. And me and Daniel Garcia, we got a hot program for you today. First of all, my job is to thank our sponsors for these 3 days.
Als erstes möchte ich den Sponsoren Daciamoghe und heutigen
Peace.
Tag
We're trying to make a
Danke
conflict-free 2023 together.
Wir versuchen ein schönes
I'd like to thank,
2023
Jenny Wong's
zusammenzustellen.
organization in Singapore, Diamond Cutter Wisdom, and Diamond Love Foundation in Singapore. Also Global Diamond Cutter in Malaysia and Diamond Seed Charity in Malaysia, and individual members of those two groups. Here's some slides I'll show you of their upcoming programs. Here's Lady Naguma Level 1 in Singapore, taught by teacher Connie O'Brien. Here's the Chinese of the same slide. And our second sponsor that I'd like to mention today is Stanley and Allison, Stanley Chan, Allison Joel. And you can see here on this next slide, they've also created a Diamond Silk Entrepreneur University. It's a MBA and EMBA program with branches in Sedona and in Kyoto, Japan, for a real MBA and EMBA program. You can get in touch with them. It's commencing in March 2023. I'll show you another slide here of the same program. This is their launch event happening, Chinese and in English, and I really encourage you to check that out. They've worked very hard. And to me, Daniel, it's really exciting that we're finally having a real MBA and an EMBA program, in addition to our DCI teacher training at SCIM College. And finally, the sponsor is this great cafe in Rimrock, Arizona. If you're ever there, it is the most famous cafe in town because it's the only one. Okay, over to you, Daniel.
Great. So we'd like to welcome everyone to our show. This is going to be the first edition of a monthly show that we'll be producing. So we're calling ourselves the Peachtree World News Show.
Makes sense.
And what we're going to be doing is bringing news to all the worldview organizations. So we'd like to go ahead and spotlight all of the different organizers and all of the different events, and create a platform so that we can bring everyone together and share with one another. And so we're producing a show for New Year's. This is our first show.
Yay.
Yay.
The audience went crazy.
And so we're bringing to you a special production today called Poetry for Peace. We'd like to start off 2003 with a great theme of peace for the world. So we have a very special guest in the studio today, Seiji and Noor, and they're going to be doing a very special teaching today. And Geshe Michael, of course. Geshe Michael, Seiji, and Noor will be teaching about poetry for peace, poems centered around peace. And then we're going to be taking that theme throughout the year, following all of our organizations and bringing to you different ideas of how we can spread peace throughout the year.
Yeah, so if you have an organization that's in the Worldview group, I call it Worldview Network, and you'd like us, we'd love to do interviews with you throughout the year. If you have a program coming up during the year, then get in touch with Daniel, get in touch with Juan Hasso, he'll be here later. And let us know what you got planned. Let us know what programs you have coming up. And then we'd love to interview you. And I think this weekend we're going to have 3 different interviews, Daniel.
Yeah, this is the first day of a 3-day show. So we're very excited. We put together a very nice segment for you. And we're bringing to you 3 of the different worldview organizers as a part of this event.
Who's the first one? I think John Brady's in there.
That's right. We got really lucky and we got to catch JB for an interview before he went traveling. So we're going to get to play that interview. Geshe Michael got to interview him on a recent tour.
In Kyoto, Japan. That's an exciting interview because it's about their new project in Mongolia, which possibly will cover 100,000 new ancient manuscripts that they have found in caves and underground in Mongolia.
Cool.
Then we got an interview with...
The second day we have these guys named Stanley and Allison. Yay! So again, one of our very special friends who helped us with this project, and so we really want to thank them and give them some time. So we're going to be asking them about their new exciting project, the college that they're doing in Kyoto with Geshe Michael.
Who's the third interview? I don't remember.
The third interview, yeah.
Oh, Nick Raja.
That's right.
You want to talk about him?
Sure, yeah, everybody likes Nick, everybody knows Nick. So Nick's our guy who's been in charge of the Mixed Nuts program, right? And he's been helping a lot with the translation program. And so we have him on. We're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming classes that will be going from January 6th through 2 weeks,
23rd.
starting on the 6th. And so we'll have Nick on. We're going to do about a 10-minute segment with him. And we'll have some exciting questions for him, and let's see if we can make him squirm a little.
And even in this show for these 3 days, New Year's event, we still would like, if you have events coming up in January or February, March, then you're very welcome to email to myself or to Juan Hasso some slides that you can show about your upcoming events. And we'd be very happy to show those slides and tell people in the Worldview Network about what's coming up for you. Let's talk a little bit about today's Poems for Peace program. Do you want to talk, or you want me to go?
Sure. Something you want to add? I'm happy to get up, but you do know a little bit more about the subject.
So we had this idea started about a year ago. And as you know, Seiji Arao Takahashi, our vice president of DCI, is also one of the Mixed Nuts translators for the Diamond Cutter Classics organization. And he's been translating a book that's called The Crown of Knives, which is a very scary thing. It's a hat made of razor blades, and it cuts your head open. And it's all about how much damage is done to you and me by our selfishness and by taking care of myself first. And then that book connects that to seeing a self nature to things, or not understanding emptiness. So you go from selfishness to selfness being the ultimate cause of selfishness. And that's a really sexy theme. This book is a poem, a long poem, that was given to Atisha when he first came north into the Tibet region of West China. And he taught there, and his teacher said, look, you're going to have a hard time with those hard-headed people. So here's a poem about how to keep your cool while you're working with those guys. And then Seiji's wife, Noor Ibrahim, is mother of Maitri, is also translating incredible poetry by Rumi. So Rumi lived 800 years ago, almost the same time as Dharmarakshita. So almost the same time as her husband's poems. And these poems were written in 3 languages, Arabic, Turkish, and Persian, because Rumi moved around a little bit. And the Persian poems are very, very famous in the world. In fact, in English, they are the best-selling poems in history. And they're not even written in English. They're
The love poems of Rumi.
Yeah, hot. And then the poems in Arabic and the materials in Arabic were not translated that much. And so Noor has been able to translate those.
Wow.
And we're going to hear this crossover between 1,000-year-old poetry from India and then from the Middle East, and how do both of those traditions of poetry relate to having peace in 2023 and not having conflict.
That sounds perfect for our theme for this year. That's awesome.
And then Grandpa, by the way, Noor, we're going to start you early because we have time. Grandpa's going to add some poetry from about 400 years ago,
Cool.
which was written by the first Panchen Lama. And it's a very, very beautiful, beautiful poetry that he wrote when he was 14 years old.
Wow.
So those 3 poems are going to get us started for this new year of the rabbit. So there are 12 animals in the Asian annual system, the year cycle system. And this coming year, 2023, is the rabbit year.
That's pretty lucky.
And that's supposed to be the most peaceful of the 12 animals. I guess rabbits are kind of peaceful, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. Cool. So we get to start off this year with a very exciting program.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just shoot over to Noor on the other side of the cafe. And here you go, Noor.
Thank you so much, Geshe Michael. Thank you so much, Daniel. Good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you in this 3 days program. Before I start, I would like to say thank you to all our translators. Your mission is not easy to translate poetry, and I will try to talk as slow as possible. Thank you for doing that. So welcome to this event of 3 special days. We prepared for you, Seiji, Geshe Michael, and I, some poems from different places in the world, but connected with one theme, is peace. And we would like to share it with you because we want to end the year with some ideas, and maybe we would like to help you develop a plan. How would you plant seeds for peace in the next year? So today, I would like to share with you a story from the Middle East. This story came from Rumi's famous work, which called Al-Mathnawi. It's a collection of stories he wrote in poetry style, because people back then, 1,000 years ago, and I think still till now, we believe in the powerful meaning of telling a story to highlight what we want. So in the first day, Seiji and I decided each one of us will tell you a story about the same theme from 2 different authors. And in the next day, which is tomorrow, we will go through the poetry together. My work to translate Rumi from Arabic was not easy. I was not self-confident. But I can tell by yesterday that I am really happy and honored to have the chance to do that. And it brings a lot of joy to my heart. So tomorrow I will be sharing with you more poetry. So it's for me, it's just like a great honor and great joy to my heart to be with you today. And let's get started. So I just want to check my time so I don't go over time. Okay. So get comfortable, bring your tea, your coffee, whatever you are drinking. Let's get cozy. It's a story time, and I'm sure you will like this story. Before I started, I would like to tell you what does Rumi represent for me and for our talk in these 3 days. Rumi is a sage, a wise man who lived in the East. For me, I consider him a traveler on the Silk Road. Silk Road that connected all continents together, started from China to India to Middle East to Iran. And I recently figured out it reached to Europe too. So it is the best metaphor of how we all are connected. And the best thing about Silk Road is that had the place for poetry, art, music, trades, beautiful scarf made of silk, beautiful jewelry. So all these things represent the beauty of us humans and the connection between us. So Rumi is the traveler in the Silk Road, and he was a great living example for uniting humanities. As Geshe Michael mentioned, Rumi wrote in many languages. He wrote mainly in Persian, in Turkish, in Arabic, in Greek, in Indian. So imagine someone who could talk to each nation with their tongue, with the very beautiful poetry. Can you imagine how popular this guy would be? And here we go. Here we have this wise man as an example for what we want to achieve in 23. We want to end the year with high note of thinking of the good things happen to prevent conflict and to get started with a plan for peace planting for the next year. So the story I chose for you today, it's called Fighting Over Names. And you might ask me, why are you speaking of fighting when it's about peace? Because I think in this story, this wise man tells us why we get to conflict in the first place. Before we try to understand how we create the peace, let's see what we are doing in the first place that create conflict. So I will read it for you. I go slowly, and then we'll get some time to reflect on it. So it goes like this. Go beyond external names and look at the underlying qualities. So they may show you the way to the essence. Conflict among people takes place because of names. Peace occurs when we uncover the real meaning. The argument of 4 people over grapes. Which one of them understood it by a different name? So here comes the real story, okay? A man gave 4 people a silver coin. It was called dirham at that time. The first man was Persian. And he said, oh, I used this coin, this dirham, to buy some angur. Another man who was Arab said, what angur? No, I want to buy henna. And the third one was a Turk and said, this coin is mine. And I want to buy, I don't want henna, I want uzum. The fourth one was a Greek, said, quit all this talk. I want istafid. In their disagreement, they soon started to fight because everyone wanted to buy something different with this one coin. They started to fight because they did not know the meaning of the names each one of them is saying. And they start striking each other with hands, and they start shouting, driven by their ignorance. They were full of foolishness. They were not so smart to stop, right? And they lacked knowledge. If a master of meaning of secrets, if a wise man, a venerable one with knowledge of numerous languages had been there at that moment, if some wise man would have been there at that moment, he would have given them a reconciliation and peace. Then he would have said, by means of this one silver coin, I will grant all your wishes. This coin will cause effects such as they when we submit your heart to me without deceit. When we let our heart go to wisdom, the peace will happen. And your one coin will become like 4 coins. For the desired result. And the 4 enemies will become as one from unity of friendship. The words of each one of you creates only fighting and separation. But my word will bring you to harmonious agreement. Therefore, you be quiet and stay silent, the wise man is saying, so that I may become your tongue for needed conversation. Tranquility and peace come from hearing and saying words of wisdom. Anything else will bring disagreement and separation. So this is the story of how these four people who did not understand each other's language get into fight. They all wanted the same thing. If you look up the translation of the word they were saying, they all were asking for grapes. But each one is asking in his own language. And because they are not aware of their each other languages, they thought that each one of them is asking for a different thing. And the fight started when we cling to what we want and we are not opening up to see what the other person would like. How did you like this story? I don't see the chat, but I'd like to see some messages or maybe. So this story is still valid until our days. Now, we get to conflict in many ways. We are in constant conflict of ourselves. Maybe we have some daily little mini conflicts with our family members. And you can take it bigger to bigger kind of conflicts. But what I liked about this story, and I really wanted to share it with you, is this wise man who came to the fight. This is an invitation. I think this man represents wisdom. And when he said, stay silent, he meant take a minute before you react and get into the fight and see what the person in front of you would like. Maybe this is the way how you can prevent conflict from happening. And these four guys who wanted the same thing were not aware of each other culture or language. Here, I don't say that we need to know all languages ever, right? I'm not saying go learn all the worst languages and then we avoid conflict. But it's an invitation to open up our hearts and mind to people in front of us or around us, right? Before we go to judgment and to start defending what we want, let's give it a chance and see what this person wants. Maybe they want the same thing. Maybe all of us want grapes, right? And each one of us saying it in different way. I know my son Maitri is learning 3 languages. And he started, whenever he wants something, he says it in 3 languages, if he knows the word. And this was the inspiration for me to present this story, because when he sees, it opens my heart up when I see him asking in 3 languages, or, for example, he likes the moon. So he points to the moon and say it in Arabic, like say, Amar, Luna, moon. And it opens my heart. I feel like in this way, whatever he asks, I would give him. So learning this, I think it's a good way to end the year and to reflect how much openness in our heart we had toward people toward people we had conflict with. How much do we know about them? Right? How much language here represent, in Arabic we say, talk so I know you. If we talk to each other, we get to know each other, because language, or as we say, the tongue, is what represent people, right? how much do we know of people around us? Maybe it's a good idea to open up and to get to learn more about cultures, people, even, even people who live in the same house. We don't know much about each other. There are still areas to discover. And if we take the invitation from this wise man who appeared to solve the conflict of these 4 guys and figure out the real meaning of what people around us want. If we take a minute and understand what they want, be open to the idea of what is the qualities of cultures, people around us, maybe our family members. We have a lot to discover, a lot of areas to explore, and take a minute of silence before we start this, I don't know how to call it, but when we become very stubborn, like, I want this, and the other person, he insists he wants that. And the funny thing in this story is they were 4 of them insisting on one thing they didn't know. And I think we are all like this. We insist we want peace, we want harmony, but how much we are doing to see what the other person wants. If we realize, like, all of us, we want the grapes, then each one of us would become this wise man. So if I have to summarize this story in one verse, if Rumi was here with us today to say, why did he write, I'm checking the time, I'm sorry. Why did he write this story? I think he wants to illustrate that no matter where we come from, we are seeking the same thing. In this story, it was represented by grapes because it's easy and everyone knows grape, right? But our conflict happens because we are, first of all, not acknowledging that. We think everyone wants something different. Our ways to get that are different. And this difference, in my opinion, is what makes us beautiful and unique, because every one of us is going to that goal, to what we all want, in a different journey. And how beautiful it is if we are more aware of all these colors and flavors around us. How wonderful life would be if we can acknowledge how other people are reaching their goal, which is also our goal, right? One thing I take away from this story also is the wise man when he say, by knowing the languages, your 1 coin will become 4 coins. I liked it because it meant when we understand each other, we can, in this case, buy the grapes, which we all wanted. But if it will seem like everyone has a coin, and this coin bought him what he wanted. You know, it's similar to Aladdin lamp, which grants all wishes. And the wise man words, what grant the wishes is the wisdom and understanding. And he leaves us with the practical tool, you know, when he said, take a moment of silence before you react. When we are agitated, and I tell you from experience, when we are too much into the mental argument, we lose our quietness or stillness, and there it's not much space for wisdom to rise, you know, because we are agitated. Take a moment of silence, reflect a minute before we start how to say, defending ourselves or insisting on what we want. And I think for the first day of these 3 days, this story I would like to leave you with this story and to think about it, to see how much can you surrender to wisdom until tomorrow, okay? How much of silence you can take before commenting or before going to any judgment. I hope this story was pleasant for you as it is for me. I'm trying to see on the chat. I see hearts. I see thank you. Thank you so much. After my session, after these 20 minutes, we have a continuation with Seiji. As Geshe said, Seiji has been translating for the past 5 years together with Geshe Michael and the Mixed Nuts. He has been translating a wonderful book called The Crown of Knife. It is designed like a long poem, but I convinced Sage yesterday that what if he takes also a story from the book and he start the day with it. So Sage will take you to another story from the Indian master Dharmarakshita. And in this story, you will see different side of why we have pain and conflict. Our goal for today was to connect these two wise men who lived almost in the same time, and to show that what fascinates us is how connected we are. And if we, in the first place, we are very lucky to have access to this wisdom. And we are lucky to have a teacher who put the pieces together. Rumi has been known, even in America, it's very well known, it's a best-selling author. Dharmarakshita, also very famous Indian master, but who would think to bring this together? I think this piece of work we are creating together with Geshe Michael is very unique. And to be honest, I want to share with you a secret. I didn't know the beauty and this uniqueness of this program until yesterday. When we had the final work done, I said, oh my God, people will really like it. I hope you guys like it. So after this stage, you will come with another story. It might be a little bit sad, but it underlines a lot of meanings. And with this, we will be presenting our stories from Silk Road, from the Middle East. And then tomorrow, we will be going together to our poems. And without any further ado, I would like to thank you so much for listening. And here we will welcome Seiji to come and present his part.
Thank you very much, Noor. I'm Seiji Rao, and I'm extremely happy to be here. I wanted to thank our hosts at the Peace-Free World News. We have Geshe Michael, Juan Hasso, and Daniel Garcia. And I'm very, very excited about this program because we're mixing different poems from incredible authors to make this program for peace. So today, I want to go over one very big skill that the ancient books give us as well that help us destroy conflict. And at the same time, discovering one of our most powerful seed partners we can have. If we have a big problem, a big conflict, then we need to rely on these big seed partners to bring more powerful results. So like Noor said, my name is Seiji, and I'm very, very honored to be one of the primary Mixed Nuts translators. I am also happy to be the vice president of DCI and SCIM. And today, I want to talk about one of my favorite books of all time. I don't know how, but Geshe Michael had the insight to give me the book that I completely fell in love with, and I've been really, really enjoying learning all the different stories there, all the different lessons. And today, I want to share with you the origin story of the Crown of Knives. By the way, the book that I'm translating is called Deathless Nectars for Helping Others. This is a lojong, which means that it's in a literary genre that helps us develop a very strong heart. In this book, we like to call it the Peacock Warrior. This is someone that has ultimate love and compassion for all people. Love defined as wanting to give everybody everything they would ever need. Compassion to take all the pain they might have. On top of that, in this book, we talk about a beautiful, beautiful analogy of how these beings are like peacocks, and they thrive off poison. And they not only thrive, but they transform this poison into beautiful feathers. Now, how does this, what does this mean in real life? These are people that enjoy helping other people with their problems. Luckily, here in the Worldview organizations, we have a lot of example of a lot of people that have their mission to help other people. So, of course, one of our favorite ones, Geshe Michael, right? And the last thing of this book is it also tells us about seed correlations. What does that mean? If you do this, then you get this result. So very, very exciting book. This comes from, actually, this book is contained in a book of another one of our translators, Dr. Wen Tang Tang. This is called All Kinds of Karma, which was published this year, I believe. And in it, there's a beautiful, beautiful story of a boy called Maitra Yashna. This story is particularly dear to me because Maitri means love. And that's the name that we decided to give to our son. Noor and I joke that he chose it because it was the very first option in both of us. So it was a very short discussion. Anyway, one of the main inspirations for that is actually this story. So who was Maitri Yashna? Maitri Yashna was the son of a very wealthy ship captain. He lived in what they call Jambu, in the Jambu continent. And he was surrounded by 500 friends. They were all reaching their peak of their adolescence, and they were feeling like they needed to go out into the world to have an adventure. So they approach Maitra and they say, look, your father traveled the world. He had many adventures, and this is how he created his wealth. Now it's our time to go out into the world and do the same. So Maitra was very excited. He went home and started packing his bags, and he told his mother. Then his mother said, look, you might not know this, but the reason why your father is not with right now with us is because it was his travels that killed him. You are all that I have left. Please don't go. So Maitra, even though he wasn't very excited, he decided to listen to his mother and stay home. Then he went to his friends and they convinced him again. They said, look, no, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. You need to go now. So he went again to his mother, who ended up convincing him another time not to do it because they were already wealthy. They didn't need more wealth. He could have all the adventures in the world. And he decided not to go. But anyway, to make this story short,
好，
this
那长
happened
话
3 more
短说，
times, a total of 4. And once again, the 4th time he came to his friends,
而
they
他
told
就去
him,
了找妈妈
you
4
know
次。
what? We're going to live with or without you. You
妈
have
妈，
until the
无论
13th of this month
你同不同意，我都会去。
to come with us. So Mitra one more time got the resolution. This time he didn't tell his mother. He packed his bags, got ready to go.
所以他就打
But
包好
as
行
he
装
was going out,
上路了。在
his
他出门
mother
的时候，
interrupted him and said, please,
他的妈
please
妈
don't go.
阻止他说
You're all that I：“ have
请
left.
求你不要去了，
Please don't do this. It will be your end.
求你不要这么做。
And she grabbed onto his leg to not let him go. ”
妈妈就抱着他的腿，求
But
他不要去。
in a moment of anger, he kicked her off to the
由
side
于一
and
瞬
then
间
ended
的
up
愤怒，他将妈妈
accidentally
踢开了，
stepping over her head and
让妈妈
went
因此
off
撞到头，
to start their
而
big,
Maitri
big
就
voyage.
仍然上路了，依照计划上路。
And so Maitra Yashna and his 500 friends embarked onto this trip looking for the land of gold. Unfortunately,
而他和他
while
的
they
这
were
500名朋友，
doing this trip, there was a big, big storm that sank their ship. And everybody but Maitra died. He managed to stay alive because he was holding on to a piece of
路
wood,
上果
of
然出事
driftwood,
了，大家都因
and
此
that
而
carried
丧命
him，
而 Maitri
away
则是因为抱住了浮木，随
After
着
a few
海浪
days, he ended up
在
washing up on
漂
a
漂流了
shore
几天之后，
where he got up and started walking around.
来到了一个海岸边。
And he suddenly
他从
discovered
这
a
里
city
上路
with
之
walls
后，
of gold,
发
beautiful
现了一
cities.
座布
And the
满
book
黄金的
says
城
it
市。
has the most
书
lovely
中就说，
gardens, it had beautiful fruit
这
trees,
座城市有着
many
最
pools to bathe
美好
yourself.
的
And there
果
was a
树，
smell of incense in the air.
空气当中也弥漫
Not
着
only that, the ground was
香味，
covered with flowers and there were silk
遍
banners
地
all around.
都是花朵。
And out of the doors of this gate came out 4 beautiful goddesses that came to meet him.
在城中也
They
有
took
4
him
位美
inside
女出来
and said,
迎接 Maitri， 他们跟他说
You've come to us, come here and enjoy yourself.：“
你来到了我们的
So he spent many
土地，
years
欢
enjoying
迎你，
himself with these
请来
goddesses
这
in
边
this
好好
city
享
for
受。
many years. ”
所以他就在这个城市当
And
中
one day they
居
told
住了
him,
几年，
and this is the
非常高
first
兴的住了几年。
point of this
而
story.
几年之后呢，就是
Well, noble youth,
来
this is
到
not
了
a
这一
land
段故
that
事
you're
的
familiar with.
最精彩的地方。
In the event that you should ever find yourself left
你并不
outside
属
these
于这
walls,
里。
be sure that you make your way north.
当你离开这里之后，记得往北
And
走。
for one reason or another, he did ended up outside of the city.
而他
He couldn't come
由于
back.
某些原因，就真
inside,
的
so
离开了
he-
这座城市，
He continued north.
因此也回不来了。他就继续依照
After
指
a
示
few
往
days
北
of
走。
walking,
几天之
he
后，
encountered the second city.
他来到了第二
This
座
was a
城市。
city with walls of silver,
这座城市的围
beautiful
墙
city
都
as
是
well.
由
Lovely gardens, fruit
打造
trees,
的，
pools,
同样也
smell
有
of
着
incense in the air, flower petals on the ground.
地面上也布满花朵，空气中弥漫着芬芳。
Out of this
也
city
有
came
丰
out
盛的
8
果
beautiful
树。
goddesses.
而这座城市当中
Same thing,
有
he
8座
spent
美
many
好
years
的
enjoying
花
himself with
园
these。
同样
goddesses
的，
in
他
this
也在
beautiful
这一
city.
座城市当中
But
度过了一
somehow
段
he
美
also
好的
ended
时
up
光。
getting outside of the city, couldn't
而
come
他
back.
也理解离开这座城市
So
可能就回不来了，
he continued wandering to the north.
但他还是步上旅程，
There
继
he
续往北
found
走
a。city with lapis lazuli walls.
接下来，他来到另外一座由
Same
青
thing,
金
it was
石
a
的
beautiful,
墙面
beautiful
打造的
city,
城市，
gardens,
这也
fruit
同
trees,
样
fruit trees,
美好，有着
pools,
果树、
flowers,
池
and
塘、
incense.
花朵以及
Out of this city
芬
came
芳的
out
香味。
16 goddesses. And same thing, they
而这
invited
座
him
城市
in
当中
where he spent many
里的
years
人
enjoying
也
himself.
邀请他留下来，他也在当中非常
Somehow he also ended
开
up
心的度过
getting
几
outside
年。
of this city,
而最后
not
呢
being able to
他
come
也
back.
出于某些原因离
So
开了这座
he went
城
up
市，不再
north to
回来，
continue to the next city.
并且继续向北持
There
续
he
他
found
的
a
旅程。
city with walls of crystal,
接下来，他来到一座
Exactly
由
same
墙面
thing
由水
with
晶打造
gardens,
的
fruit
城市
trees,，pools,
也同样这座
incense
城
and
市
flower
有着
petals. Now, out of
花
this
瓣
city,
布满的地
32
板、池
goddesses came
塘
to meet him at the
果
door
树、
and took him inside.
芬芳的香
Same
气等
thing,
等，而
he
人们也邀
enjoyed
请他留
himself
下来
for，many years
与
there
之前一样，他也
and
在
ended
这
up
里
uh,
幸福
getting-
快乐的度过一段时
getting
光。
lost outside of this city.
那也
This
同
was
样
the
的，
fourth
几年
city.
之后，他继续
Now he continued
离开了
walking
这座
for
城市，往
days
北
and days.
持续他的旅程
And。suddenly he had to cross this
突然之
forest
间，
of thick
他必须要
spiny thorns,
通过
spiny plants, and he
一座
arrived to a
森
city with
林，
black
在森林
gates
当中
and
有着
black
各
walls.
种黑暗的
And these
墙
walls were
面
made out
以
of
及
iron.
布满刺的植物，
This time, no one came to
这一次
meet him
呢，
at the door, so he went in.
并没有人在门口欢迎他，
And
所以他
as
就
he entered,
直接
the
进
door
去。
shut behind him.
而当他一进
He
去，
started
背后
looking
的
around
门
and
就
saw
关
that
闭了。
the walls were way too high to climb. So he
他也
just
看到
continued
了
exploring the
这座
city.
城市的城墙太
Now,
高了，
this
他
was a
爬不
very
出去，
different
他
city.
只能够继续往前走。
This was
这座
very
城市非常不同的
somber,
是，
very creepy.
这座城
And suddenly he
市
started
感
hearing a
觉
scream
阴
in
森
the
森的。
distance.
他听到了
A scream
远
of
方
agony.
有着尖叫声，
So he started walking towards the sound
他就
and he
朝着
found
这
a
个声
man
音
who was
往
being
前走。
tortured. Mitra asked, "Who is there?"
当他走到继续
And
走，
there came a man that
他
had
看到了一
a
个
crown
正
of
在受
knives
苦
in
的
his
人。
head.
他看
Now
到这个人
I've learned many
头上戴着
descriptions.
一个
The way that I imagine it is kind of
像
like a
是
crown. The way that
皇
Geshe
冠一样的
Michael
东西。
teaches to us is a
可是
crown
老
that
师教
has
我们的
this
时候
circle of
是这样形容
salsa
的，
all
说
around
这就像
that
是一个
are
皇冠，然后中间有着各种
in the
的
man's skull inside and spinning
内
around
部。这个皇冠
forever.
的内部有着各种各样的
So
锐
Mike
利
saw
的
this
刺。
and got
Mike 就
extremely
看到这个人
afraid
以
and
这
asked
种
him,
方
"What
式
is
受
this
苦，
place?" The
他
man
心
told
生
him,
害怕。
"You are now standing
那
on
个
a
人
hell
跟
on
他
earth."
说：“你现在所处的地方
Mike
就叫
asked
做
him,
地狱。”
"How was
Mike
it
就
that
问
you
他
get here? What's：“
那
happening?"
你是怎么来的呢
The？ man
你做了
with
什
a crown
么？
of
你发生
knives
了什么事？”
told him,
那个带着利刃之冠
"Well,
的人就说
I come from a continent called Jambu. ：“
我来自一
I'm
个
the
叫
son
占
of a
卜州
great
的地
chief
方，
captain,
我
very
是一
wealthy.
位船长之子
And I，
非
was
常
part of
富
a
有，
group. I had 500
而我有
friends,
着500
and we
名
wanted
朋
to
友，
go out in an adventure.
我们要一起去，
We wanted to have
探险。
adventure and to make our wealth.
我们要为自己创造财富。
And the first time I tried, my
而当
mother
我
convinced me not
首
to
次
do it. So I
想
decided
要
to
说服
stay.
妈妈让我成行时，妈妈
And I
拒绝
tried 3
了。
more times,
我又再次尝试
and
了3
I
次。
ended up staying all those times. The fifth
最
time,
终
though, I
当我第
disobeyed
5
her.
次
She
去请
grabbed
求
me by
妈
the
妈的
leg,
时候，
and in a
我就
moment
不
of
遵照妈
anger,
妈
I
的
kicked her
要
away
求
and，stepped
仍
on
然
her
坚
head.
持成行，甚
When
至
we
还
were
踢了
out
妈
at
妈一
sea,
脚，让她
a great
撞到了
storm
头。
attacked our ship, and
接下来在
everybody
旅途
died
当中，
except me.
我们受到了暴风雨的侵袭，所有的人都
Then
死了，
I washed up on the
而
shore,
我呢则
and
被
I found a
冲到
city
了岸边，
with walls
找
of
到一
gold.
座由黄金
This city
打
had
造
gardens,
的
pools,
城墙的
incense,
城市。
flowers,
城市
and
当
silk
中布
banner.
满着各种美好的
And
花
then I
朵、
was
香味、
greeted
果
by
树、
4 goddesses
水池
that
等等。
invited me in. Then
当
I
中
ended
有
up
着
out of this
4个
city,
美
and I
女
found the
邀
second
请我
one
进城。
with walls of
接着
silver.
呢，我又来到了第2座由
These
银
also
打造的
had
城墙的
gardens,
城市，
pools,
它同样有
incense,
着
flowers, and
池
silk
塘、
banners.
花朵、果
There,
树，
8 goddesses came out to meet
香
me
味，
and invited me inside.
而有8位美女出来邀
Spent
请我
many
进
years
城。 我
enjoying
在那里
myself,
度
and I
过了
ended
几年
up
美好的
getting
生
out.
活，
So you guys know
最
where
终
this
我
is
又
going,
离
right?
开。那接下来大
Then
家都知道，继续
he ended
又
up
发生了什
lost.
么。
I ended up lost,
最后
and I
呢，我
found
迷路
a
了，
city of lapis lazuli walls
找到了一座青
where
金
16
石
goddesses
城墙的
came
城
to
市，
me and invited me in.
同样也有美女出来邀请我。
Then the same thing happened in the next
也
city,
同样的，
which was the city made of crystal.
接下来
Then,
我来到了
After I got
水晶
lost, I
墙的城
continued
市，
walking north,
在
and
我
I ended up
迷
in
路之
this
后
very，city.
最
When
终
I
我来到了
entered, the
这座
gate
城
shut
市。
after me, and there was a man there
当我
just
一
like
踏进
me
来，背
with a
后
crown
的
of
门
knives on his
就
head.
关起来了。而我前
And
方
as I
也有
went
一个
in,
像我现在一样头
The
戴利
crown
刃之
lifted
冠的
up off
人，
his head, dead, the
而当
bad
我看
drug
到
dead,
他
and the crown came to
那
me.
个利刃之冠
And I have
就
been
离
ever
开他，
since
降
with
到我
this
的头
crown,
上，而那个
knowing
人
as
就
my
因此死
skull.
去了。
For this whole time,
所以这段期间，
Now, the man with the crown of knives continued.
现在
Because I listened to my mother 4
头戴
times,
利刃之冠的这
that's
个人继续
how
说道：“
I
因为我
managed
听
to
了
find
妈
these
妈的话
4
4
heavens
次，
on earth,
这是为什么我得
these
以
beautiful cities, filled
在
with beautiful
地球
people where I
上找
spent
到这
many
4个
many
美好的地
years
方，
having
能够
fun.
度过几年快乐的生
But
活。
then when I stepped on her head
而当我
and I
踢了他那一
kicked her
脚，
out of the way, when
为
that
了
happened,
让他
that happened
不挡
when I
住我
came
的
into this city
路，
and the crown of knives came into my head.
导致了我现在来到这座
And then
城
this
市，
person asked
头戴
Mitra,
利刃之冠。
where do you come from?
而那个人问到 Maitri 说：“那你又来自于哪里呢
And he told him, well, I'm also from the land of Jambu, and I'm
他说
also
我也来自
the
于占
son
卜
of a
州，
very wealthy sheep
我
captain.
也是
And actually, I
一
did
位富有
exactly
船长之
the
子，
exactly every single
而我的
thing
经历
that
也和你
you
完
did.
全一样。”
And the man with the crown of knives told him,
接着
This
头戴
makes
利刃
sense,
之冠的那个
because
人就
this
说
morning：“
啊，
I
那一
heard a
切就
voice
合
from
理
the
了，
sky
因为今
that
天
told
早
me
上
that
我
my
听到
seeds
天
were
空
reaching
中
their
传来
ends,
一个声
and
音
that there was
说
another：
你
son
的
of a ship captain named Mitra
你
Yashna
所承受
that
的
was
马上
coming
就要结
to
束
take
了，
my place.
马上会有一个叫做 Maitri 的人来接替你。”
Mitra at this point was
Maitri 在这
completely
一刻
defeated, terrified.
完全吓坏
And he
了，
asked him, How is it that you survived?
他就问说：“你是
The
怎么
guy
存活下
answered,
来的？”
Well,
那个人就说
for drink, I have the blood that comes out of my：“
是
head.
因为我喝了
And
自己头
For
上流下来的
sustenance,
血，
I managed
才
to
让
eat
我得以
the
存活
little
下来，
pieces of flesh that
以及我
are coming
头
out
上
of my skull. Of
所
course,
掉
this
下来的
terrified
肉，
Mitra even more.
让我能够活
He
着。
got completely defeated in sadness. ”
这
But
时候
then
Maitri 整个吓坏了，
he knew his end was coming, and he
他
decided to
知
make
道自己的
one
末日到
last
了，
prayer for his mother.
但是他还想为母亲做最后一次的祈祷。
There are countless worlds in this universe.
这个宇宙当
At the
中
top of each one
有着无
is the level
数
we
的
call peak of
世界，
existence. At the bottom, a hell with no respite.
在最底下
In
则是
between live
无尽的
countless
地狱，
beings.
当中住着
Spirits
无
of
数
every
的
kind.
生命，有着各式各样
I
的生命。
pray they may all find
我祈
happiness.
祷他们都能够
And now I take upon me all
找
their
到
suffering.
幸福快乐。
As he said these words, he was overcome
当他
by
这么说的时候，
very strong emotion and prostrate himself before picturing his mother and his father.
他
And he made a
在
prayer,
心里
prayer
观
for
想
them.
着自己的父母，并且向他们为他们
Wherever
祈
I
祷。
may be born,
无
may I
论我出
always
生
honor
在
my
哪，
parents.
愿我
Now
总是能够
here,
荣耀父母。
do I take my rebirth on this hell
而
realm
现在
on earth?
我将再一次降，
I
我
bow
将
down to
降
all
生
those
在
of noble
地
family
狱
in the
道，
world.
让我
I
向
bow
世上
down
所
to
有的
all
智
who are
者
free.
礼敬，
And I ask you to please
也礼
protect me.
敬那些已经
And he
解
made
脱
one
的
last one.
人，
From the lowest hell to the very highest heaven, living
从
creatures
最
live in chains
底层的
of
地狱到
living,
最高层
dying,
的
and moving on.
天
May
堂，
every one of them
愿
meet
所
with
有
the path
的
of goodness, and
人
may everyone
都
live
能
a
够
happy
达
life.
至
Never getting old,
最高的快
never
乐，
dying, never
不
moving
再
on
死
again.
亡，不再
Living instead in
重
freedom.
蹈这样的生活。
So as he spoke these things,
而当他这么说的时
he
候，
bowed his head and waited for
他
the
将
crown of
头
knives to reach him.
刻在
But
地上。
by the power of his actions, he
而由于
managed,
他的行
for
为，
some reason, the crown of knife never touched his head.
由于他的这些
It
行
actually
为，
stayed up
朝
and
他的
never,
头飞过
never
来的
hurt
这
him.
个利刃之冠，并没有办法
Now, this is
落
a,
下
this is
来
a
落在他的
beautiful
头
story
上。
from the ancient books.
这是古籍
How
当
does
中的一
this
段非常美
relate to
好的
us
故
in
事。
daily life?
而这对我们的每天的生活
Well,
又有什么样的
The
关
very
联呢？
first thing,
首先，第一点，
this comes from this book, the all kinds of seeds. It explains
这个
how
故
is
事来
it
自
that we
于
can plant seeds in one place and they can ripen in others,
这些
right?
古
Just
籍
like
当中，
Mitra
这些古
when
籍当中
he
所说到
obeyed
的就
his
是，
mother,
让我们
he
这
followed
么
her
做就会
wishes,
得到这样的结
and
果。例如
that
Maitri，
ended up
他
being
听
a
从妈妈的
beautiful,
建议
the result was
因
in
此
another
呢，他
place,
得到了美
in
好
a
的结
beautiful
果，
city.
而这些结果
Okay.
开在了其他地方。
It also talked to us about the time gap, which is
而这也
question we
告
get
诉
a
了我
lot
们
in
时间差
DCI.
的概念，这点我们在 DCI 的课程当中有许
Most
多的说明。
importantly, it talks
更重
about
要的是，
important seed partners, how certain people
这
can
个
be
故事说
very
到了
powerful
种子伙伴
for
的力
us,
量，某些种子伙伴
to
对我
plant
们
our
来说有
seeds
强
and
大
to get
的
the most
作用，能够
incredible
让我们
results.
种下最强大的种子，带来最强大的结果。
Also, it talks to us about
同
the
时呢，
highest wish we can
他也
achieve
说到了我们能够
is
达到
wanting to
的
take care of
最
others.
高的愿望，
Powerful
就是
enough
照
to
顾他
stop
人。
these really bad seeds that we might have planted in the past.
即便我们
And
之
most
后
important of all, the best way to react in the face of trouble.
遇到
the
了
face of
各种
conflict.
困难，我们能够做的最好的是什
And
么？
one last thing that I personally like about this story is I was born
我
in
个人
Mexico,
最喜
raised
欢
as a
这个故
Catholic.
事的一
And it's
点是，
incredible to see how there's examples of great practitioners throughout history of having this
历史
great
上有
wish of taking
许多
people's
的智
pain
者
and
有着
wanting
这样
to
子的愿
everybody
望，
to be
就是为所
free.
有人承担他们的痛苦，
So for
让
me,
他人得
this
以
story
解
was
脱。
particularly
所以
touching.
这一则故事对我来说
Now,
特别的
Let's,
动
how do we
人。
take this back to conflict
我们要怎么样把这个
Well,
故事引用到
and taking it
纷争
back to
当中呢？
Logan?
我们
Conflict
回
is
到
only
修心，
possible when we
之
are
所以会有
thinking
纷
of
争，
ourselves
是
first.
因为我们首
does
先
this
想
teach
到的
us?
是自己，所以这首
This
诗所教我
attitude,
们的就
this
是
peacock attitude that can
孔
help,
雀勇士的
especially in
态度，
moments of pain,
特别是在我们受
especially
苦的
in
时
moments
候，
of conflict,
特别是在我们陷入纷
because
争
we
的
don't
时
want
候，
to plant the same seeds.
因为我们不希望再种下同样的种子。
But anyway,
顺
I'm
带一
very,
提，
very happy to
我非
share
常
this
开
story
心
with you
能
guys
够和
today.
大家分享这一则故
Next, we're
事。
going to
接下来
move
呢，
on to
让我们
Geshe
继续
Michael.
Wow, that
来
was
请格西老
amazing,
师
Sage. We just wanted to thank
来
you
和大
because
家分
actually we're
享。
going to take a little break.
谢
So we're
谢
going to
谢
let
谢大家，这个
everybody
故事真
take
的
a
非常
10-minute
美好，对
break.
吧？
And
那
we
接
have
下
a
来
very
我们
nice
要休
slideshow
息
that we
10
put
分钟，
together. So
我们
please take a look at the
整理了
slides that are
一
coming
段
up on the break. We
展
have
示要给大
photos
家
of some of the
欣
children, of
赏的。
a lot of the organizers, which we
这
wanted to
些
start the new year off on a happy
展示
note
是我
and
们
show
的
some of the
世界各
pictures.
地的主办方
And
以
so
及
please
孩
enjoy
子
our
们所
10-minute
呈现
break.
的，
And
所
we'll
以
be
我们
back
接
with
下来会
Geshe
进入
Michael
10
after
分
the
钟的
break.
休
Thank you
息，
so much.
休息之
Thank you,
后
guys.
会由格西老师来继续与大家分享，谢谢。
Hi, this is Geshe Michael Roach, and I'm also part of this Peacock Warrior project, which we're bringing together poetry from different countries, ancient countries of Persia or Iran, and also the poetry of India, and also West China. And my job is to talk to you about
任务呢，就是和
some
大家来
poetry
谈
I've
谈
chosen by the
一
first
些我所
Pension Lama.
选
This
择
is a
的
new book
故事，
that's coming out from
这本
Diamond
书
Cutter
呢
Press.
是由
It's
能断金刚出
called
版社
Poems
所
of
出
the
版，
Diamond Way, and maybe I can show you a
叫
graphic
做《金
for
刚
it
之道》。
slowly.
等等，我可以展示给大家看
And
这本
some
书
of you
的
know
封
this
面。
book. It's funny because I
可能有些人
translated
知道这本书，
some poetry,
因为我翻译
I
过一
don't know,
些诗
20 years
篇，
ago.
可能20多年
And it was
前吧，
just for some private friends,
只是为
some
了一些
poetry
个
that
人
was
的
written
朋友
400 years
所
ago.
翻译的。这
And the
些
poetry
诗
is
篇
very,
是
very
400多
mystical,
年前
very,
所
very
写就，
beautiful.
这些诗篇都
And
充
I
满着神
thought
秘，
that since we're doing
而且非
this
常非常
Poems
的
for
美好。
Peace project
而我想，既然我们
this New
正在
Year's,
主办新
that
年
I would
的
read
诗
you
歌活动，
some of that
就让我
poetry.
来为大家
Translators, I
朗
am
读一
slowing
些
down. I'm just excited about the new show.
这些
It's
我所
difficult
翻
to
译的
go
诗篇。
slow.
我会慢慢的
So I'm
念，为
going to
了
read
照
you
顾到
some
我们的
poems
翻译，所以让我来
from
为
this
大
new
家朗
book.
读
And here's the new
这本
book.
书。这
You
本就
can
是
get it from Diamond
大
Cutter
家可以
Press.
从能断金刚出
It's an
版社
ebook, and if it's
去
allowed
购买的书。
in your country, different
如果
countries
说
have different laws.
大家的国家是
And
允许
this
购买
ebook
的
is
话，因为
available. If
不
it's
同国家
allowed in
有
your
不同的
country,
法
you'll be
规。
able
如果
to
说
get it.
购买是合法
Okay,
的话，
let's
大
go
家
back
就
to
可
the
以
poems
买
here.
到
And
电
I'll
子
read
版。
you
让我来为大
my
家朗读
favorite poem
我
by
最
this
喜欢
author.
的，由这位作者所写就的
And
我最喜欢的一
let
首
me get
诗，
it up here. It's called The Lady Who Came to Me.
就叫做《
And
走
I
向我的女
suggest
生》。
you just sit back
我建议大
and
家
relax
放松
and
的坐
listen to the
着，
poetry.
来听听这首
I
诗。
think in the modern world, we
我
don't
想
get to
在
hear
现代
poetry much.
我们
We do hear it, I think,
也
in
听不到太
music,
多
in
的诗，
songs.
我们可能会
I
听
think
到
all
歌
the
谣，
lyrics
而歌
of my
曲，
favorite rock and roll songs are great
例如
poetry
说我最
also.
喜欢的
But in
摇滚
general,
乐的歌词
in the
等
modern
等，
world,
而在现代的社
you
会，
and I, we don't sit around and
你
read
我
poetry to each other much.
不太会坐下来
And I think it
为
would be
彼此
nice
朗
to
读
kind of
诗
bring
篇，
back that custom. So the
所以我想
Peacock
把这个习
Warrior
俗带
project
回来。
with
我们
Seiji
的孔
Arao and
雀
his
勇
wife
士的项
Noor
目，
Ibrahim.
由 CG 老师和诺
This
老
year
师
we'll
一
be
起
doing
推
a
行
few
的这个
events
项目，我们会
where
在
we basically
明
just
年
sit
举
down and
办
read
几场活
poetry
动，
together
基本上就是
and
坐
talk
下来
about the deeper
为
meaning
大家
of
朗读
these
这些诗
ideas.
篇，然后探
So
讨
I'm
他
going to
们当
read
中的
you a
含义。
poem.
所以让我来
It
向大
means a
家
lot
朗
to
读
me.
这首诗。这首诗对我
Uh,
别具
I've
意义，
been reading it for 20 years.
我已经
Uh,
持续
and
阅
it
读了
was
20
written
年。
when the Panchen Lama was
它是
14 years
由
old. It's the first
他
thing
是
he
在这
ever
位老
wrote.
师
He
14
lived a
岁的时
very,
候所写的。
very long life.
他
At those days in West China,
在当时的
people
中国
average
西部可
lifespan
以
was
说是
40
非
years
常
old,
长寿
and，he
那
lived
时候
to
的
over
人们
90.
寿命大
And
大
so
约
he
是
was
在
sort of
40岁
famous
左右，而
in
他
his
却活到
time
了90多岁，
as being
所
this
以
guy
在
who
他的
just
时
kept
代，
living on and writing
他就是一
extraordinary,
个
beautiful
够
pieces. For
长
example,
期
if you
不断写
know
作的
this
这样一个人
devil debates
所
the
为人熟
angel
知。
poem,
天
which
使
I've
与
been
恶魔
teaching
之
for,
辩
I
当
don't know,
中的
10
诗
years.
篇，
He wrote that
也
if you
是他
have
所写的
taken。
我已经为大家
The Diamond
讲
Way
解了
series of ACI,
10多
then
年的
you've
这个
seen
天使与恶
in the
魔之
first
辩
3 courses were written by the same teacher.
而大家所学习到的
And
这
in his
几门
long
课
memo
程，
steps
许多
of the
课
path.
程在步
So
步上
he's
道
an
的课程当
extraordinary
中，
person.
很多也
And
都是由这位老
this
师
is
所写就。
probably the first thing he ever wrote, and he wrote it again when
这
he
首
was
诗
14
可能
years old.
是他在14岁
It's a
所写的第一
song,
首
a
诗，
poem that he wrote in honor of Sarasvati. Okay,
这首
and
诗是他用
Sarasvati
来
is considered to be an enlightened being,
礼敬
a
一
Buddha,
位
a female Buddha,
一位
and
正者的
she's
一位女神，
kind of the boss of music
她
and
是
poetry
她被
and
视为
writing,
诗歌
like
语歌的女神，
creative writing. in ancient times. She's
在
kind
古
of
时
in
候
charge of
他的
of
创意
those
写
three
作，
things,
他以
music,
创意写
poetry,
作
and
而成名。
creative writing. And I think it's interesting
我想很有趣的是，
that this teacher
这位
and
老师
Tsongkhapa
以及宗喀巴大
wrote
师
their first works to her. Each one of them, when they were very young,
都在他们非常
had an
年少的时
experience
候，
with
就有
this
了
female enlightened being. Apparently,
就与
somehow
这位开悟的女
she
神
came
有
to
了
each of
连
them,
接，这位女
and they
神
wrote these poems
去
to
到
her.
他们面
And I
前，
think it's interesting. Okay, so sit back,
所以呢，
relax.
大家就放松的坐着，
I'll read the poem,
让我来
and
朗
then
读这些
let's
诗，
talk about what the heck does it mean,
再来探
because it's
讨
very mystical.
这
Okay,
当中
here
有
we
些
go.
什么含义，因为内容本身其实是充满着神秘的。
The lady who came to me. Namo Saraswateya. I bow down to the lady of song.
我礼敬歌之女
This
神，
is the song of the gods, verses
这是
in
众神
praise
之
of
歌，
Saraswati,
赞颂
Lady
辩
of
才
song
天女的诗句，
goddess of words
歌之
and
女
melody.
神，即文字与旋律的女
I
神。
bow first to the conqueror,
首先，
the Lord of the spoken word.
我礼拜
The blue Lord melted, and a wish-giving sea
蓝色之
surrounded me.
王，
Crystal bubbles struck from lines of gentle sea waves, smiled
曼
upon
周
me.
边，
I stood upon the shore of liquid treasures, sheltered in silken cloth by the child of the lake.
我立身于
The
汪洋当
contours
中
of
的
her
岸
skin
边，
shone as a
承蒙
babe's.
孩子
The meadow
肆
was
意的维
green,
护，
lapis
它的轮廓
stealing
如
my
婴
heart,
孩般，
gleaming jewels
婴孩的肌
spilled
肤般
from
的
the
闪
moon.
耀。郁郁葱葱的草
She
地
was
上，
clear as a flock of
如一
stars
光
upon the
从明
road
月
to
出，
deathlessness,
熠熠生辉于
bathed
我
in
心。
nectar pressed from an emerald.
它如明耀
The feather's soft hand,
众群星，
lovely,
光洒满
exquisite,
意不死道，
sipping the water of earth from the
直到从
soles of
此
her feet.
便弥漫，清脆
Touched
光
by
又
the
是
messenger
这
who cannot be seen, but breathing soft. The woman, wild in passion, gestured. My mind was torn to her. Lotuses spreading wide, young and lovely. She danced. Branches in a
如
soft
柔软
wind,
如羽
tendrils from the
羽
heart
毛
of a
般柔
flower.
软的手，玉足轻点世间水，
The vault
犹如
within,
饮者
where the falcon
逝者
flew,
服，犹如清
the
风
inner
一
bloom
落。
was smeared with honey.
女神热
The
情
young
又洋
bee
溢，
forced the river of
犹
the
如荷
throat
花盛
to
开放，
rise. The
年轻
forest
可爱又
beckoned,
迷
deep
人，
green, parrot's
丽
wing.
丽情愫挂我怀。
A glorious crystal palace,
大家
fire of
翩翩
total
起舞
bliss,
来，
dancing window
柔
to
风
the
摇
salt
曳，
of
水
a
绽
white
放，
lotus.
花心间内
It
苍
lay
苍
atop the majesty, shining
猎
in the
鹰飞
nectar,
过的地方，
a thousand rays from
花儿
each of
朵朵蜜芳芳。
100,000 jewels in the sky. Maiden, mad in passion, the atoms of her body, each a towering mountain. Woman of
天
wrath,
空涌动，
woman
风流
of
长，
beauty, conch
清脆
shell,
森林在招手，
ivy twinning.
鹦鹉
Glancing at me,
是
masses
山
of
中，
deathless nectar, splitting open the Lord of cooling light. The
金碧
knot
辉
of
煌
her
水
hair,
晶
the
宫，
knot of her
极
hair
乐之火放
lifted
起
to the
了，
sky, bearing
震对
flowers,
窗外，
flower necklaces,
白鹿
flower necklaces, soft
白
wind
莲
of
鹿
hair,
处在
all
窗
in a
沿
wing of
之
white
林
spreading
端，
over me, arms of the divine. You shining
在甘
in
露
your
中一
body
生
of the
辉，
sky alone.
天上10万宝石光，
Face with two beckoning
逐一
me,
发春间
slanting
道光，
lovely. Had it not been fingers altogether,
贴子
anyone
洋
would
溢的
have
少女，
done.
体内无数诸
A
为神，
shining leg,
一
thoughts
阶如妙
unshaken, a
雕工，
diamond opening.
实现微
When
妙
you're
是
pierced
庄
a
严，
thousand times,
青藤海螺
what
是
does
缠
anything
绕，
else mean? Pleasure garden lips,
紫菱
smile
花
of
轻轻
bliss,
一撇，
a thrill
浓
of
郁
the
甘露徐
spine
徐降，
from newborn crystal
披斗清
dancing.
凉尊顶之法器，
Pearl white teeth peering, soldiers in file, sweet
法器
whispers
随即
flying
升
to
上
the
空，
caves.
顶放花环，妙花
masters who drink the flower essence,
法鼓柔
maidens
风，橙花尾，
of the divine musicians,
宛如雪
awake
白的
from
翅
their
膀，
sleep
展开顶
amidst
托
the
付着
clouds
我，
and flee.
那是天使的宝贝，
The womb of gold
Ning
stands
在
abashed
天
and
在
turns
身
to
体的天空
pretend to
中，
meditate
竟独白着光芒，
finger bracelets of precious jewel. Exquisite, embrace her tight.
一提
A
脸
pair of
面
hands,
装
soft, tender,
亲切地向我
sapphire
倾斜。
lotuses.
好似指缝
Lift the
相扣
secret
时，
lute, singing out
世人皆
sky's
会如
summer
这般。
drum. Lifting forth that
一腿
sweet
闪亮
burdened
一身
breasts,
灰，
firm
坚定
and
不移的信
flowering,
念，
ripening
似金刚
maiden,
石的打
crowning
开。
jewel.
当你被牵刺，
Deep
刺
contemplation
其他又算什么呢？
in bodily form. What better spirit to shake
乐
my
园
heart?
之唇，大乐之笑，
Saints, long since
急救
free
上的
from longing,
正在
gaze on the wonder
来
of
自
your
新生
holy
的水
body,
晶起舞，
shining and forget
珍
themselves.
珠白的牙齿
Peaks
一线，
piled from
如
softest
士兵
bubbles,
整齐的排列，
dressed
甜
in
蜜之
strings
语
of pearls,
飞
her
往洞
blouse,
穴，
dancing
吸
silk
引
of the
花精的
gods,
大师，
soft,
圣乐师的少
sheer,
女们，
enough to
云
shame the
雾从
thousand
梦中醒
feathers
来，
of the blue
急忙
Lord.
转身而跑开。
She shines in ruby, lovely, true, but the gossamer
金光
skirt
跟羞
enfolding
却伫立，
emerges the victor.
转身佯装在
The
情思，
universe at play, 10,000
中
heart
共珠
stealing
宝妙指
forms,
环，
realm of the
紧紧地
youth,
快
8
拥着
pairs
她。
full, forever unshifting, woman
一双巧手
of the
柔软
victors,
细
past,
嫩，
present, and
如
future,
如夜
bliss
蓝
itself.
色莲花般
I
扶
bow
起
to
神秘的
you,
琵琶，
skull trees
一
planted
如
in the
天谷自
source.
然明。
I will think of you
从此甜
sometimes,
蜜的
that
负担，
shining light
乳房坚挺而
of your
放放，
sacred form.
成熟的少女头戴宝石，
And I pray that by this
侧
simple
身
thought, a
静
thousand
神
rays
静思，
of crystal
还有什
light,
么比这更能看
knowledge
动
that
人心？
sees the entire galaxy of things that
圣
can
人
be
已从狱
known
中得解脱，
exactly as they are,
凝视你奇迹般的圣体，
flies to every
如此
living
闪
being
耀，因而
and
忘却
rips
自
from
己。
them the darkness of
从
ignorance.
最柔软的泡
And
沫
lastly,
中，
now I beg,
织
O
进
Lady
远
of
山
Song,
峰
your
峦叠起，
blessings.
装饰着成串的珍珠。
Let the explanations I give
它那
turn
由
to
天神
jewels
绸缎制成的上衣
that
随之
adorn
舞
the
动，
ears of those with clear
柔软
minds.
而清透。所
Let
以
the
让蓝
debates
药
I
师
unleash split
成
open
千
the
片语
brains of those who dare to
自
speak
惭形
wrong.
秽，
Let the books
它
I
闪耀
write
着红
become
宝
a
石光，
necklace
美好
that
且
all the
真
wise
实。
wear
薄纱
upon
裙
their
围绕之
throats.
处，隐约现圣
And
者
then
之
there's a
姿。
line at the end. It says, "This has been written by myself,
最
the
后
monk
呢，有一
Lobsang
段
Chiki
话
Gyaltseng,
说到
in the 14th year of my life."
这些
Daniel, what time am I
是
supposed
由
to
我
finish?
所写就的。
5 more minutes.
I got 5 more minutes. Okay, I want to tell you a
好，那我还
story.
剩5分钟，
about
我想要
this
告诉大
author.
家关于这个作
嗯
者的一些故事。
So he was meditating. You know this, some of you know this
作
story. He
者那
was
时候正在
meditating in
冥
a
想，
cave
很
when
多
he
人
was
可能知
older.
道这段故事。
And
在他
he
比
had
较
a
年长之后呢，
nirpa.
在
It
一座
means
山洞当中
somebody
冥
is
想，
supposed to bring him groceries, which
这
is
意
a
味
very
着必须要有
important
人为
job
他
in a
做一些
retreat.
采买，而这在
And
进修的
he
时候是
was
非
doing
常
this
重
small
要的
retreat.
活。
And while he
他在进
was
行这个长期
in
的进
retreat,
修，
Tibet was attacked
而在他进修的
by
期间，中国
Mongolian
的西
princes.
部受到了蒙
And that
古
was very
王子的
common
侵犯。
ever since the 1200s. Genghis Khan
这从
and
西元
Godan Khan
1200
and
年
other
左右
Mongol
开始，
warlords were marching through different countries, including
蒙
Russia,
古的军队就
including
大
Afghanistan,
肆
Vietnam, Korea,
进入到了
China itself.
巴基斯
And
坦、韩国、
so
中国
there
等
was an
地。
attack, and there were two
而由于这
huge
个，
armies
由于
headed towards each other
军队
in the
大批的
valley
军队入侵，
below his cave. And the person in charge of his groceries came in and said, you know,
因此为他
Panchen
负责
Lama,
采
you
买的
might
那个
wanna,
人就来到他
you know,
跟
move
前
your
说：“
retreat
老
to
师，
another
您可能
cave.
要 把
And he's
进
like,
修的
why?
地点
And
移到
he
别的
said,
地方，
well,
他就问为
there's
什么？
gonna be a
采买的
a
人就说
war
因为可能很快
down
会爆发
at the base of this
啊！
mountain.
现在这座山脚
There's
下
gonna
正
be
爆发
hundreds of
一
people
场战
killing each
争，
other, you know.
会有数
And
百
the pension
人
lama got
彼
up
此
and
厮
he
杀。
said, well,
而老师
that
就
that
说
shouldn't be, that we can't
不
let
应
that
该如
happen.
此，我们不能够任由
And
这
he
件事
broke his
发生，
retreat, which is
所以他
very
就离开
unusual.
了进修，而这是相当不
And
寻
he
常
marched
的。
down the mountain.
他就下山
And
了
the，two armies were starting to face
山
off.
下
They were about
两
to
队
kill each other.
军队正在彼
Hundreds
此
of
厮
people.
杀，数百
And
人
he
呢
went and stood in the middle
正在彼此厮杀，
between the
他
two
就来到了
armies.
这两个
And
军队的。
It's
之中。
funny. He said,
好玩的是，
if
他
you
就
guys
说
are，gonna kill
如
each
果说
other,
你们要彼此厮杀的话，
then you have to kill me first.
你们就要先把我
Because I'm
给
gonna
杀了，
stand between you.
不然的话，我就这样站在你们中间。
You know, he was already quite famous.
那时候他
Very
已经
famous spiritual
颇具名声，
teacher.
作为
And
一
here's
名
this spiritual
灵性的老
teacher
师，他是
standing between the two
相当有
armies
名望
and
的。当他
saying,
站
if you
在
want to kill each
两个
other,
军队当中，跟他
you
们
have to
说
kill me first.：“
你必须，
And,
你们必须先杀了我，才能够彼此。
So a question
Sahai.
comes up, and by the way, ”
所以这里就出现一个问题，顺带一
the
提
end
呢
of，that story is kind of
在这个
funny.
故事的
He
最后
called
其
the
实
two
很有趣
generals，to the
他就
middle
跟
of
两
the
队的
field,
将军说
and he said, "Let's talk privately."
我们私下谈谈吧。
The two generals came to him, and
所以这两位
and he
将
said,
军就
"Look,
来到
I'm
他面
pretty
前说，
famous lama.
他跟
I'm
他
a
们
famous
说，
teacher,
我是一位非常有名望
and
的
I
老
have a lot
师，
of gold that
我也
people
有
have offered me in
很
my
多大
life,
家供奉给我的黄金。
and I have a suggestion. You guys, I'll
我
split
有
it
个
with
提
you
议，
guys.
我把这些
One
黄金
general
拿来
take
跟你
half,
们分享，一个人拿
The
一
other
半，
general take
一
half,
位将军拿一半，另外一位
and
将
you
军拿
guys
另外一
walk
半，
away,
然后你
and
们
you
就
go
拿
home.
了黄金之后，
and you'll
回
both
家
be
吧，
rich men. You know,
你们就
And
会
they're
成为
like,
非常富有的
great,
人。
we'll do
两位
it.
将军听了说：“那这
They
太好
went
了，
home.
就这么办吧。” 所以
And
他
that
们就拿了
battle
黄
was
金回
never
家了。
fought.
接下来这场战争就
But
没
I
有
was
真正
thinking,
打
you
起
know,
来。
we were in
所以我就在
Kyoto
想，在
recently.
我们在近期在京都的时候，
We were studying a sutra that I
我们在
translated
一
recently.
起
And I'll show you an
阅读一
image of
部
it.
我最近
If you
翻译
guys
好
over
的一
there,
部
it's
经
called
典
The，Art of Sharing.
就
And
是分享
this
的
is a
艺术。
sutra that I translated
这
just
部
for
经典
the
是由我来翻
Kyoto
译的，
program that we had
是我
recently.
为了我们近期
And,
京都的
this-
活动所翻译的。
This book is a story, a sutra,
这部经典当
and
中
it's about a king
有着一个故事，关于一个
who
国
was
王，
challenged, for example, to give
他
his
受到
heart
了挑战，
to
要
another
怎么样
person.
把他
Would
的
you
心
have the
给到其他人？
courage?
你有没有这个
Would you
勇
have
气
the？wisdom
你有没有
to
这样
take
的
your
智
own
慧，
heart
能够
out
将
of
自
your
己的
chest?
心从
You
胸
know,
腔里
sometimes we donate a
拿出
kidney or
来？
something like that.
有的时候我们可能会捐肾
But
脏
would
啊
you
之
be
类的，
willing to donate
但
your
是
heart
你会不会捐出你
to
的
another
心脏呢？
person?
捐给
And
另外一个人？
this sutra, you guys found that slide yet?
大家有找到
I have it. I
相
sent
关的
it to you
PPT
guys.
吗？
I did.
让我再发一次给你们吧。
Okay. I'll show it to you later. Hang on, let me send it to you right now.
先请稍等，我现在就发。
Okay. Hang on. It's important because
这个非常重要。
okay, here we go. Okay, I'll have this image up for you shortly. And this is
好，等会再为大家展示。
I'll have to show it to you later. It's a free sutra.
这部经
Anybody
典
in the audience,
是
if
免
you'd
费
like to
的，
have a copy,
如果大家也想要拥有
we'll
的
send
话
it，to you for
我
free.
们
The
会
ebook of
免
the
费
sutra
的
for free.
把
It's
电
called
子
the Art
版
of
发给
Sharing.
你。
That
书
sutra
名就叫做
is
分享的
important,
艺
I
术。
think,
这本书
because a
这部
king
经典非常
basically
重要，
he
因为
gives
这位
away
国王
his own heart
连他的心
to
都
another
愿意
person
给到另外一个
because he's a
人，
bodhisattva.
因为他是一
And
位
there's a big discussion in that sutra And the discussion is
相当高
the
的成就
king's
者，
dearest friend, his assistant, is writing, is speaking to the king. And he's like, look,
有人就跟
you're
他说
healthy, you are not：“ very
您很健
old,
康，年纪也
you
不
have a
大，
strong, healthy body.
身体非常的健
And
康。
I don't understand
我
if
不
you
理
could
解，
live another 20,
如果您还
30
能够
years. And if,
存
by the
活
way,
20-30
John, that should be
年，
coming to you now. If you can live another
如
20,
果您
30
仍然
years
有20-30年的寿命，
and you can help people,
能够去帮助他
you
人，
can help people understand wisdom,
能够去帮助
then
他人
why
理解智慧，
would
那么
you die
为什么你
in the
会
next 5 minutes? Why would you
要在
give your
接下来
heart
的5分钟，因为
to
把
another person?
你的心脏给到
If
另外一
you
个人而
know
死去呢？如果
that if
说
you stayed
你知
alive,
道
you would
让
help
自
so
己
many
存活下
people.
来，能够帮助到
And
很多
by the
人。
way,
顺带一提，
the person asking for your heart
向你
is
要
not a
求
nice
你
person.
的心脏的这个
And
人，
he
并不
doesn't
是一个
really
好人，
need it. You know,
他
like
也
that. Like
这
he's
也
like,
不是他的本
this
意。
person asking you for a gift.
那个人向
This
你要
person
求
asking you to share
礼物，
something.
希望你能够
By
向
the
他
way,
分
here's
享
the
的这个
book.
人。顺带一提，这就
It's
是
free.
现
The
在展示
ebook
的
is
就是这
free.
本书。
We'll be
书
sending
的
it
电
out
子
to
版是免
everyone
费
who
的，
has
我们会把
registered
它
for
发
this
送
program.
给
It's a new
免费发送给
translation
所有报
of
名
this
参加这
sutra.
场活动的人。
So there's a moral question.
所以这里就有一个道德的
Should
问
you
题了
risk。your life
你应该要
to help another person?
为了帮助他人，
Should you share even your own life with another
让自己
person?
遭受到风险吗？
If you know
应该
you could live a long life, if
如
you
果
could
说
live
你
more
知
life
道自己
and
能
do
够
good things,
很长寿，能够用
is
来
it the right
用你的
thing
寿
to
命来
do
帮助很多人，
to sacrifice
那
yourself
么
at a young age?
你会在
Jesus did it at
年
30
轻的时候就
or
牺牲自己的生命
29.
吗？
Is it the
例
right
如
thing
说，
to do?
耶稣就在20多、
to
30
give
岁
up
的时候牺牲掉自己
A
的生
big,
命。
big part of your life
你会愿意
or
付出
even
自
your
己
life
绝大部分的生
to
命
another person?
来
Or is it better to
给
live a
到
long
他人
life?
吗？还是
And
说
that gets
让
into
自
the
己活下来呢？
question of
而这个
conflict.
问题就是，
You know, if someone wants my house, if somebody wants my country
如果说有人想要
if
我的房
somebody
子，
even
有人
wants
想
the
要我的
clothes
国家，
on my own back, if
有人想
someone's
要我
stealing from
行李
me,
里面的衣服。
if that kind of conflict arises,
如果说我们有着这样的
what's
冲
the
突或
right
者
thing to
分歧，
do?
我
Should I sacrifice my
能怎么
own
做呢？怎么做
happiness
才对呢
and？my
我
own
应该要牺牲自己
life,
的
my own
幸福、
possessions
自己的
to
所有
prevent
物、
conflict?
自己的生命，来避免冲
And
突。
last thing I'd like to say, and then we'll be over to
我应该这么
Daniel.
做吗？然后我想说的最后一
Someone
点是，
asked this question to Jesus,
有人向耶稣提
and
出
they
了这个问
said,
题，
if someone,
而他说
if，it's very cold outside,
如果说现在外面
and
很
someone
冷，
tries to steal my coat,
而有人试图
what should I do?
窃取我的外套，我该
And
怎
I
么
don't know
做？
if you guys know the answer,
我
but
不知道
Jesus
大家
says,
知不知道耶稣
oh,
所给的答
offer
案？
your sweater also.
他会说：“我
After
会
you
把我
give
的
them
毛
your
衣也
coat,
给你，
ask them, would
不
you
仅是
also
把
like
你
my
的外
sweater?
套给出去，同时问他需不需要你的
So
毛
I
衣。
think that's something we have to think about
我想这就是我们
when
要
we
去
think about
思
conflict.
考的。当我们想
Okay,
到
Daniel
冲突的时
Garcia,
候，
back over
要
to
去思
you
考的。
at
好，
the
让我们
home desk.
Wow,
St间 交
that was
给 Daniel
amazing. Thank you so much, Geshe. Thank you so
这个
much,
故事太
Seiji.
精
Thank you
彩
so
了，
much,
谢谢
Noor.
葛西老
That
师，
was
谢
an
谢 Seiji
amazing
老师，
first
也
day
谢
for
谢
the
诺尔老
Peachtree
师。
World News
这对我
production.
们
And
潮
I
数
thought we could show the slide
潮
one
数
more
新
time
闻
really
台的
quick
这个
for the
活动来
poetry
说，
book.
真的是
In
非常
case you
好
guys
的
didn't
第
get a
一天的
chance
开
to look
始
at。that, that's on the
请大家
screen
再看一
now.
下，我们现在
So
展
that
示给
way,
大
if
家看
anybody's
的。
interested in getting a copy of the
如果
poems
是
of the
大
Diamond
家
Way,
想要
you
获
guys
得
can go ahead and
金
take
刚
that
之道
QR
的
code
这
off
些
the
诗
screen
集
now
的话，
and
可以
get
扫一
yourself
下
a
屏
copy.
幕
That's an
上的
amazing book.
二
Thank
维
you
码
so much,
来
Geshe
取得这
Michael,
本书。
for
这本书真
translating
的
that for
非
us.
常精彩，感谢葛西
All
老师
right,
为
so
我们
now
把
we're
它
going to
翻
go
译出
ahead
来。
and start
那
a
现在
little
呢，
segment of our show,
让我们
which we're going to start with an interview. So again, the
先展开一
Peachtree
下我
World
们
News
接下
Show,
来的下
the
一个
whole
环节，
idea is for us to bring you guys
桃树
news
世
from
界
all
新
the
闻台
worldview
的主要
organizations.
目的就
So
是
we
将
decided to start
我
off
们在
with
世界
the
各
one
地
at the
的
top of the
各个
mountain.
组织的
As you
活
guys
动
hear,
活动呈
the
现给大
snow
家。
comes from the top of the mountain.
大家都知
So
道，
we decided
雪是来
Geshe
自于
Michael
山
had the
巅之上，
opportunity to
而
interview
格西老师
JB
呢，
John Brady,
正好
who
有
is
机会
the
能够访
director
问到
of the
JB
ALL
老师，
program,
也就是 ALL
responsible
的
for
负责
saving the
人。
ancient textbooks.
他们最主要的
So
项
we're
目
going to go
就
ahead
是拯
and
救
cut
古
over
老
to
典
that
籍。
interview
那
and
接
show
下
you
来我
guys
们
some
就
of
直
that.
接
In
进
case
入
there's
这
anybody
一
who
场
aren't
访谈，
familiar with the project yet, our goal is to make sure everybody knows all
来让
about
大家
the
知道
organizations and
这
worldviews.
些
So
所有
let's go
组
ahead and go to
织
that, John.
所在推行的种种项目。
Hi, John Brady, JB.
Hi, JB 老师，你
welcome
好
to the, really, it's the first ever
欢迎来
Peachtree
到
World News
我们的
show.
首场
All of our organizations
桃
around the
树
world,
世
all
界
of our
新闻
many,
播
many
报台。
activities, many
我们
companies,
的所
many
有组织在
organizations.
世界各地总是在进
They all
行各种的
depend
项
on
目，
Asian Legacy Library,
而这些项
which
目
finds the
都需
ancient
要
books.
ALL 来
And then
寻
the whole
找，
thing starts,
经典。
catalog them,
并且把它们编目、
scan them,
扫描、
input them,
再输入，
translate them,
然后
print
翻译出
them.
来，
Many, many different
打印出
organizations
来，
having programs.
让
I
其他
want
的
to say
组
that
织能够
we are
推行他
celebrating
们的
this year
项
the
目。
35th anniversary
而今年呢，
Wow.
是我们
Asian Legacy
ALL 的
Library.
第
A long
30
time.
周年。
In May, we were
在5
in
月，
Mongolia
我们去到
taking
了
care
蒙
of our
古，
current projects there.
去
And as
照
you
应到我
know,
们现
one of the
在进
greatest
行的一些项目。
collections, one of the best treasure houses left in Mongolia is in a location called Ganden. And
我们的
you
在蒙
had
古
been
的藏
trying to
书
get Ganden
都
to
储存
sign
在
up for
丹
26
丹
years.
这个地
26
点。
years of patience to move
我们
this
在那
forward.
里
And many stories
用了27
happened
年
in
的
that
时间
period. And
来
here we are, May,
经营
signing
这些项
a
目，
contract
Yeah.
to
而让
go and collect
那里
the
的一些
digital
人员
assets of
能
that
够签
collection.
署这
It
份
is
合同，
probably one
让
of
我
the
们能够
final
去
great
将这
collections
些
in the
经
world.
典以数位的方式储存。
And we're going in March.
而我们
Wow.
3月的时
And
候，
we're bringing all our technology, we're
把
setting it
我
up.
们所有的
We're
技
starting
术
to do a
团队
2-week
都带过
intensive
去，
training. And there'll
并
be
且在那
5
边展开了
digital
2周的
catalogers trained and
培
3
训。
scanners that will be
我
state-of-the-art
们在那里
scanning.
有3
And we're
台的
off
扫
and
描
running.
器，
You guys can see here a newspaper
大家可
article
以
from over 25 years ago.
Yeah.
We signed this
大
contract.
家可以看到25年前我们
It
所
failed.
开始
And
进行
this
的
is really our last chance
这
to
些
do one of
项目，
the great over 100,000 books there.
我们有着超
And
过10万
what
本
we're seeing
记
is that we as an organization
作为一
can
个组织，
truly
让我们能够
empower
真
that
正去
collection, like
赋
give
能这一
the
些我们
possibility
的藏
of
书，
the world
让这个
itself
世界
to have that collection show itself to the world, not
能
just
够让这些典
ALL
藏的书
sharing
籍
on our
展
website,
现
but giving
出他们
them
自
the
己，
opportunity
而不
to
是让 ALL
technologically
来做
offer
这个
that
推行，而
directly
是
from their library.
透过
Also,
电子的
some
方
came
式，
from
让这些
underground.
经
There's
典
something like this
呈现
case
出
from
自己。
This collection we're
而我
beginning
们
in
的藏
March,
书在
they
3月份的
found
时候，
10,000 volumes in a cave
wow.
是
being
我们
protected
在
for over 75 years.
山洞当中找到的这
Not a
10万
clue what's
册
inside
书
them.
籍，
There were projects in the Gobi Desert of
他们
collections
在
buried
戈壁沙
by
漠
the
当中
leadership of that particular community.
Yeah.
有
And the
某一个特定的
grandsons and the
Wow.
children know where they are.
在
And
保
this was
存，
a
只
typical
有他们知
example
道这
of
些书籍
how people
被
feel
深埋在
safe
哪里。
again
Yeah.
to bring the collections back into the world.
我
I'll
们要
tell
把
you an
这些
interesting
等级
story.
再
So
一
John
次
and
带
I are
入世
sitting in
界。
Kyoto, Japan right
现
now.
在 JB 老师跟
We
我坐
just
在
finished
京
the
都，
program in
我们刚
Vietnam,
结
Hanoi,
束了越
Vietnam.
南的活动，在
And
越
we
南
did
河内的活动，
DCI advanced level
我们
2.
在那里进行
And
了
that level
DCIG
is based
晋级
on
2阶
one
的
of
课
the
程，
translations of
而
the
这
mixed
个
nuts
这门课
translator
程呢，就
groups.
是来自于
And
混合
that
坚果翻译
translation
团
is a
队
book on
所翻译出来的经典，
on how does the mind work?
而这些
And
经
that
典很多
translation
都
was
是关
done
于我
by
们的意识是
Adam
如何运
Andrade,
作的。
working
其中
for
一部就是由
6 years.
Adam 老师花了6年
And
的 的时
when we
间
were
翻译出来
finishing
的
up the translation,
通
which is
往
1,000
空行之
pages in
门
the ebook, And
这
when we
本
were
书
writing an
电子版
introduction
有
to
600多页，
it, we used your
我
collection, we
们就
used
用
your
了
catalog
你的组
to
织所编
the
目的这些
National Library of Mongolia, which is a
书籍，
project you've been
也
doing
就
for
是你
about
们
20
在
years, I
蒙古
think.
的图书馆已
Yeah,
经进
another
行20
great
多年的项
collection in
目。
Mongolia.
而在
And
蒙古，我们
it's
进行了
funny you
另外
say
一
you
个
talked about
项
Adam
目呢，
because he
也
was
就
on
是
my
您所说
second
的
trip.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have a beautiful
Adam
shot of him in that collection.
他也来到了
Because
我
of
们
your
的图书
project,
馆， 而也
because
就
we
因
had the
为
catalog,
您的这个项
when
目以及编目的工
when the
作，
staff catalogs a
当
book,
员工在
they
为
type in
这
the
些
last
书
few
籍
pages,
编目
which
的时
usually
候，
tells where was the book made,
Whose history?
都
who
会打
wrote
入
it,
书
and we
籍
used
的，
hundreds
我们
of
可以在当
those
中哪一页找到什
from
么
your
项目，作者
catalog
是谁
Amazing.
等等，
to do the introduction to Adam's book, and then Adam's book
来让我们
became
能够为
PCI
Adam 的
Advanced Level
Adam
3,
老师的这本书
and
来写，
148,000 people
同时还有
are using that advanced level. So in a way, your
多
project
名学员呢
is
用上
not
了
just about ancient books.
这
Your
本书
project is
来
about,
学习 DCIG
in
的课
this
程，
case, it
所以
was how to turn your dreams, like if you're dreaming to
在这一
buy a
节的
new
课程
apartment or
当中，我们
something.
讲到的就是如
And
何
is
让你的
there a
梦想成
way
真。
to
例如
really
说
take that dream
去买
out
下
of your mind and
你
literally
所
turn it
想要
into
的公
reality?
寓，
And
将你
that
的梦
course came
想
directly
推入
from the
现
same
实。
kind of catalog that you're working on this year.
这一
So,
门课
so
呢，
if
就
I'm
来
just
自
a
于
normal
你
person
所
who's
推
watching
行
the
的这个项
Free
目。
World News tonight,
所以对于
and I
来到我们
understand,
今
I
天
finally understand
桃
why
树
John
世界
Brady
新闻台的
is running around
观
the
众，
world like
我们要让
Indiana
大家
Jones
知道的
looking
就
for new
是
books, and
JB 老
I
师去到
finally
世界各地
understand
去拯救
that
古
these
老的典
books
籍
end，up
而这些
in
书籍
people's
呢，
real life. It's
最终会
exciting
进
and
到
it's
我们
fun
每
and
天
it's
的生活
amazing
当
and
中
it's。really
这些
helping
书非
people.
常
And
的精
I
彩。
feel when I talk to you, I feel like
当我和你
it's kind of the last
访
chance.
谈的时
Like
候，
these
我感觉
libraries
到
could be destroyed. There could be a fire.
这个图书
The
馆也可能
government
会
could
受到
decide to
毁
close
坏，
them.
它
It
可能也
happens.
会受到
All the
损坏。
time.
例如，
So if I'm really
政府决定把它关闭
excited
等等。
this New Year's and I want to have a good New Year
而今
and
年
I
呢，我
want
希望
to make a
能够
difference
有一
in
个
the
非
world
常
and
美
I
好
want to
的新的
support
一年。
your
我也
project.
希望这个世
Then,
界
then
有所不同，我
honestly,
也
how
想
do
要
I
支持你的
what's
计
how do
划
I。do it?
That'd be
What's the-
great to talk
那么
to
我
talk to
能
that
够
point.
做些什么呢？
This year, Geshe Michael, we set up the infrastructure for what we call bequeathing,
Okay.
which is simply
今年格西
acknowledging
老师
Asian Legacy
建立
Library
起了
in
另外
in
一
your
个系
will.
统，
And it's quite easy. The
能够让我
information
们
on our
很轻
website
易
is
的。
very detailed about
其
how
实
to
大
do
家可以
that.
在我
If I
们的
decide that I
网
would
页
like
上面看
to
到非
make
常
a
详
major
细的内
donation,
容。
like I want to make a
如果说我
$100,000 or $1
想
million
要
donation, or I
捐款，
I want
例如说我
to
想要捐
leave
款10
you
万元，
guys my house or something
我想要
that
捐出我
when
的
I
房
pass
子，
away that I
在
don't
我
need it anymore.
离开
The
之后，
thing
我不
that
再
we
需要我的
know
房
is
子了。
that
那
this
么
is
我可以怎么做？
150 to 300-year project.
Yeah, that's
这是
cool.
其
And
实我
so
们
the
在进行的
endowment
是一个
idea, I
300
don't
年
want to
的
use the
计
word
划，
endowment, I want to use the future funding of ALL is really important.
所以
And
我
so
们的
that to me
资金
is just as equally
我们的资
important
金来
is
源是
to
非常重要
bring
的。
this future funding
我
into
们
an
要将这个未
investment
来
for
的
the
资
long
金
distance
作为投
relationship with
资
ALL in the world to save great
来
collections.
We wish
支
you
持
success
ALL
in
能够
this
持续
year's
的运
goals
作。
for at
那
the
么谢
new
谢谢谢你，
project. I know you have other projects.
我知道你
So
有同
thank
时
you,
在
thank
推
you
行
for
其
being
他的
on the
项目，
show and
所以谢谢你来
please
到
keep
我
us
们
up
的
to
节
date on your
目，
new projects.
请
Look forward
持
to
续
it
向
again.
我们更新你
Thank you.
的项目运营状况。谢谢。
Hi, welcome back to the show.
欢迎
I
大
had a
家
lot
回
of
到
fun with
我
that
们的
interview in Kyoto
节目。
with JB.
That
其
was
实
so
和
fun,
JB 老
wasn't
师
it?
的访
Yeah,
谈真的很有
you
趣。
know, I've been trying for 27 years to get into that collection.
我已
And
经
I'm
用
so
了27
excited
年的
that
时间来
they're gonna
深入
be,
这些
I'm talking to
收
him.
藏，
I'm so excited that they're gonna be doing it and
所以我
cataloging
很
it and
兴奋。
finding
我
all
们
those
接下来
interests.
要
A
推
lot of
行
those
的这
books
些活动，
were
这
hidden
些
in
书籍
caves and
呢都
underground.
被
And
现在
I'm
都
of
还在
lands
山
is
洞
gonna
的
be
地底
safe
下。
by
我希望
ALL.
他们都
What do we
能
got
够
on
被
next, Amy?
ALL拯
So
救出来。
up next
那
on
接
our
下来
show,
我们
we
的
have
环
a
节是什
special
么呢？
poem from
接
the
下来我们
organizer of the
邀
Yoga
请了
Studies Institute. Her name
YSI
is
的负
Connie
责人
O'Brien.
Connie 老师
O'Brady. And so we asked some of the organizers as
我们也
well
邀
as some
请
of our
了其他
viewers
的
to send in their own
主办方
poems. So
以
since
及
this
观
show
众
is about poetry for
来
peace,
呈现出
and
与
since
和平相
Noor,
关的诗
Seiji,
与歌。
and Geshe Michael are all reading
除此之外，
poems, we
既
thought
然格
that
西
it
老
would be
师、
nice to
诺
have
老
the
师以及 Seiji 老
audience
师都来
involved.
为我们朗
So
读诗
we
篇，
asked
所
some
以我们
people
也
to send us some
邀
of
请
their
了
favorite
我们的一些
poems
朋友来
about
提出
world
他们
peace.
And talk
最喜
about
欢
And
的
to talk
一
about
些
them a little
关
bit, to
于
give us
和
their
平的诗与歌，
commentary on how that poem touches their heart and how
并
that
且来
reminds
谈
them
一
of
谈
peace in
这
the
些
world.
诗
Do
是
we have
怎么
any
样
other
触动
spaces
他们。
open for poetry, or we fill up?
We are pretty full up with spaces
Okay.
on poetry.
All right. Maybe next
But
time.
we're going to be working
因为
on more shows for you guys. So
时
another
间的
thing
关
I'd like
系，
to
所以
say,
我
if
们
any
会
of
安
our
排，
viewers
我
have
们会
any
在接下
cool
来的环
ideas or
节当中向
suggestions
大家
how we
展
could
示。
improve our show,
如果
if
大
there's
家对于
anything
我
we
们
did
可以怎
wrong
么
today,
样
we're learning.
增进、
So
提
if
升
you
我
could
们的
please give us your
节目，
suggestions, maybe
也
you
欢
could
迎
be a
大家
part of the
提
show
出
in the
来。
future. So let's go right over to Connie's
或许
poem
有一
and
天
let's
我们
check
还
it
可以
out.
邀请您到节目当中来。所以，请大家观
Hello,
看
I'm
我们接
Connie
下来的环
O'Brien,
节。大
president
家
of
好，
the Yoga
我是
Studies
Connie
Institute.
YSI 的负责人。
And for my poem today,
今天呢，
I've
我的这首
chosen one
诗
from Hafiz. He is a 14th century poet from
是来
Shiraz,
自于
Persia,
14
and he
世
lived
纪的一
through
位诗
some
人。
very turbulent times.
他
He
所
was
处
the
的这个
son
年
of a
代
baker
是充
who
满各种
chose to
动荡的。
study with a Sufi master, and indeed he became a Sufi master himself.
他是苏菲学派的一
The
名学
poem I
者，
chose is called Asking for the
这首
Hand
诗
of
呢
Marriage.
叫做
When someone
婚
becomes
姻上
really quiet in
婚
this
姻之
world,
手
really
提出邀
quiet,
请。当有一个人
those who
非
are
常沉
not
默，
may turn to
非
them,
常非常的沉默，
even from behind a wall or from a
没
great
有人回
distance.
应他。即使从很遥远的
It's like a touch
地方，
that they, the unstill, want. A touch that comes from the invisible, comes from the intimate region of the benevolent spirit in someone who is in true peace. Unknown to most, one asks for the hand of marriage wherever their gaze falls. I have to stop myself here. Sometimes I just cannot help but to cheer something that has never quite been put into words before. As that last line about a marriage, we are always seeking. So that's all I can say now. If there's something in your mind obstructing your vision,
如果说你
then
的
let
生活当中
someone
有
who
什么
can
蒙
see
蔽了你的视野，
read all this to you.
如果说有人能够为你朗读这一
The
切，
sunflower's heart is not detectable to most, but you know what it does. It so gladly turns, offering its body towards its lover, the sun, all day long. So why I chose that poem, it's because it speaks of
为什么
peace
我
to
会
me.
选择
It
这首诗
speaks
呢？
to me of the
因为
great peacemakers throughout time.
它像我，
These people who have
它非
put to
常的撼
rest
动到我。
all the anger in their hearts
他想到
to
了所
become
有
a place where only loving
心中
exists.
存有愤怒的人想要成为
It's the
一个充满爱的
story
存在
of。the lover beckoning the beloved dropping everything under the lover's gaze of peace, being irresistibly drawn into a union. So beguiling is that thought that even Hafiz pauses to revel in the joy of it. So in the heart of someone in true peace, someone in stillness, even the angriest person in the world comes to peace. like the sunflower in the sun, across time and distance, the heart of a great peacemaker is like a magnet to me. They provide a unilateral disarmament of my greed, my pride, jealousy, anger, and even the sense of separation from others. And so it's this capacity that they have with their completely still and peaceful minds that withdraws all war, all anger, all fighting, everything that speaks of disharmony. Thank you. And Happy New Year's to everyone.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Connie. It smells like somebody's a meditator, huh? That was beautiful.
It was awesome. I think what we have up next is, and Daniel can talk more about it, but we're very fortunate in the Worldview Network that we have
接下来的环节 ，Daniel 会再跟我们多加说明。
groups
我们
in
很有
both
幸
Russia
在
and
我们的
Ukraine.
世界观组织当中
And
有
they-
着
they communicate by Russian language, and I'm very
俄罗
very
斯文
proud
以及乌克兰文
of
的
the fact
参与
that
者，
these
而
two
他们彼此
groups
都以
are
俄罗斯
really
语来
really
交谈，
supporting each other,
而这两
really
个组
really
织呢
helping each other,
彼
with
此
great
相
love
互
and
支
harmony.
持，彼此之间也有着
And
相当
they've
多的
offered to
和
do-
谐以及平静，
Yeah, that's awesome. What a
所以
great
这一点
example for
真的
us
非常
to keep working
非
on
常了不
peace in the
起。
world.
我
So
们都
let's
在
go right over
为
to
世
that
界的
poem
和
and
平努
let's see
力
what they have to
让我
offer.
们一起来看看他们呈现出怎样的诗。
Peace in the world.
世界上的和
Hello,
平，
sky, the endless starry sky. I look at
无
you
限
with
的
infinite
星空，
bleakness. I want to come
我
to
仰望
you
你，
up high,
我
like a
想要
bird planning to dissolve in your
像一只小
unearthly
鸟一样
darkness.
飞向你。
I want to be born
我想要
again
重生，
in the vast universe and
重生
come
在
back
广大
as
的宇宙
earth,
当中，然后
renewed,
再次回到
timeless.
地球上。
I want to let go all
我
that
想要
was
放
there
下
so long.
已经存在
War,
许久的一
strife,
切
conflicts,
战争、
heartache.
冲突、
Let this year to
心痛，
begin
让这个
only
今
in
年
peace. Let
从
love
和平
lead
开
all of
始，
us,
让爱
attacking
引导
each
我
heart
们，
with happiness.
让我们的
For the
心
world to be
受到
open to the
快乐的
freedom
重
to
击，
create, to live,
让这个
to
世界
love, to
向
inspire,
自由敞
amaze,
开，让
live
我们
again.
能够再一
To
次
see mothers' joy and
感
daughters
受到
and
母
sons,
亲的
to see the
喜悦，
tender heart of one's
看
father
到每一个
hanging
人父
legs
亲
from
心
a
中的柔
big
软，
carved porch of sweet home, to enjoy the warmth and solace,
让我们能够在
to be
夏
calm
日
and
享受温暖，
sure in the power of good and in love
在善的
where
力量当
hearts
中
are
以及
open,
爱的力量当中，
where
让
in
每个人
every
的心得
piece
以
of
敞开，
tremendous land I
让
will be
这块广大土地
welcomed
上面的
gladly, where
每一
love,
个人
kindness, care, and
爱
compassion are the
以及慈
measure
悲，
for everyone in every
在每一
country,
个人、每一
where
个国家的
kinship
每一
is
个人身
felt
上
on
降
the
临，
whole great land, in each impression and in each presence, where there is no pain, suffering, killing, and
让我们不
damage,
再有
but
痛
a
苦，
heart that
不
holds
再有
stones
损
of
害，
warmth, that melted the
让我们的
iceberg
心都
of
能够承
evil
载
and doubt
无量的
and
爱
brought
与温暖，
oceans of good back into the world, where anyone's willing
让
to
所有的
share their
善像海
happiness,
洋一样
to
涌
share
回我
their
们的心
joys
间，
and support in troubles, where in
让我
every
们在
person
困难
shares
当中找
desire
到
to
支持，
increase
让每
bliss
个人
and
都能够
sympathy
发
to
光，
others.
并且对彼此
Heaven,
有着同
heaven,
情
I cry out, I
以及喜
shout,
悦。
allow me
我呐
like a
喊着，
bird to fly
允许我
inside you.
像一
I
只
will
鸟一样
dissolve to be
飞向
born
你，
again as earth.
我愿意
safe,
融化
peaceful,
并且再次
native,
重生
abundant,
在地球，
where all are
充满
equal on
安
me,
全以
on
及
the
平静。
planet, where happy faces laugh and light. Like stars,
让这个
warming
世界充
hearts,
满
like
喜悦的
birds
脸庞，
flying to peace,
就像是
where
飞
love
向
is a
和平的
cycle
鸟，
to oneself and around. Without
爱就像一
worries
个
or
圆，融入
expectations,
了所有
without
人，
suffering,
不再
without
有担
judgment,
忧，
there are
不再
no
有
more
评判，不再有
boundaries in
受苦，
people's
不
mind,
再有界
no
限，
competition, no
不再有
anger,
竞争，
no
不再有愤怒，
ruthlessness, and as a caressed sunbeam in
就像是
people's
一缕
eyes,
阳光
from the gathering
照
clouds
向每个人的
illuminate
眼
the
睛，
darkness.
驱
I'm
走
the
黑暗。
planet. Tonight, for peace I
今天
cry out. I'm ready to be your earth forever.
我已经准备好
In the
作
new
为你的
year,
大
I
地，
send a message to all.
在新年时节，
Melt with your warmth, icy
我
heart.
是
Be light,
成为
kindness, and
光，
love.
慈
We
悲
are
以
all
及爱。
one in
我
our
们
common pay. We are all one
在痛
in
苦面
both
前都
dusk
是一
and
样的，
dawn. Become a gentle light ray.
作为一缕
There
温
is a
柔的
special
光。
law of the world.
世界上有
What
着一
you
个特别
sow,
的法
you reap.
律，
If you give pain, you get grief.
你会收
If you
获
give
你所
care,
给
you
出
get
的。
love.
如果
And to
你给
get
出爱，就会收
comfort
获爱；
at your
如
own
果你
home,
给出安
create
慰，
beauty
就
in
会得到安
somebody's
慰。
house. If you want
在他人的
to have
家
a
里去
fancy
创造
car,
美好。
drive your
如果你
friends
想
around
要
on their
一台
business.
酷炫的车，
If you want
就在你
peace
的
with
朋友
others, first of
去
all,
抵
stop
达他
all
们
the
的工作场
conflicts
所。
with your friends and family. So there
如
is
果你
no
想要和
wall
平，就
between
要停
members.
止你和周围的
The
人
one
身
who
边
is
的
right is not
争
happy.
吵。
Who seeks violence is doomed to pain.
那些寻求
Reconcile with
暴力的
yourself
人，最
and
终都
others.
会受苦。
That is the
与自
law
己
of the
协
world.
调，与自己达成和平，这就是世界的法则。
Yeah, we're just gonna end it off with a little
好，那我们
conclusion.
今
I
天
just want to remind all of
就要
our
用最
viewers
后一个
that
总
this is
结
day one.
来作
Don't
为
forget to
第一
tune in
天的
tomorrow.
最后一
Tomorrow's
个讯
schedule is
息。
going to be
明
another
天呢，
2-hour show.
我们一
And
样会
then
有
on
2个
day
小
3,
时
we'll
的
be
时
ending
间
with a。special 3-hour
第三
show.
天呢，则
So
是
we're
有
going to
3
be
个小
taking
时。
all of our friends in
所以我会
Asia
邀请
through
所有
to the
亚
New
洲的
Year's.
朋友
And we're going to have a
一
little
起来共
countdown
度
and we'll
新
be
年，我们会一起
celebrating
倒数，
with
一
some
起庆祝。
mocktails. We'll have Flavia in the studio from the Peachtree Healthy Eating Show.
我们也
So
会
she's going
有
to be
这
helping
个
us out with
桃
that.
树的
So
健
yeah,
康饮
just
食
don't
节
forget
目
to
当
tune
中
in tomorrow
来呈
and the
现。
day after, and we'll see you guys again.
那
Thank
么
you so
我
much
们
for
明天
joining
见了，
us. Thank you
谢
so
谢
much,
大
Geshe
家今
Michael.
天的
Good
参与，
job,
也谢谢
man.
格西老师。There were some parts that were muted.
When that happens, tell me, baby.